Good afternoon, first of all, and welcome to the AGS session at the ULF Family Conference. So I'm Patrick Winters, and I'm one of the parents that has been helping to kind of build up the Aicardi Goutieres Syndrome Advocacy Association. All right, so for the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about this little organization that we've been building and how we see it improving the lives of your loved ones. So I told you I'm Patrick. I'm the father of a 5-year-old with AGS. She's my daughter, Aurelia. And I've been working closely with a handful of other parents for about a year and a half to shift the community mindset towards taking charge of our future and being active participants in research. Now, the AGSAA was originally founded in 2015 by a group of parents, and some of them actually remain on our board of directors. And they recognized a need and an opportunity to advance research efforts in the Americas. And they founded the Aicardi-Goutieres Syndrome Americas Association. But since then, no spam caller, no thank you. Since then, our community has grown, and we have more opportunities to help our children that we believe requires a global scope. So we renamed ourselves the AGS Advocacy Association, renewed our purpose, and expanded our priorities. Now, I want to be clear, and I think we all at the AGSAA want to be clear that our intention is to faithfully represent the needs of AGS families around the world. So we recognize that there is unequal access to information, medicines, and expertise, and we aspire to level the field so that all children with AGS can reach their maximum potential. And we built this map from home locations volunteered by members of our support group. And while we see representation outside the U.S., and I know it's a little blurry, but you can kind of see in the background, we recognize that we're not reaching many parts of the world. And we think that we can't make a difference without your help and engagement. And I might not be speaking to you all in the room. I'm speaking to people that are going to come across this recording in the future. And so we need your help and engagement. And we're going to continue to do our best, and we ask for your feedback and participation in our efforts. Now, we're a coalition of parents, and we want to work with clinicians, researchers, scientists, health agencies, you name it. And we want to improve the lives of everyone with AGS, and we think that that very much involves anticipating the needs of those that will be diagnosed in the future. And we have a lot to learn from families that have come before us. So we see this work being more successful when we include the past, the present, and the future. And so we wrote our mission statement to focus on rescuing potential. We're serious about proactively providing information, emotional support, and connections to preserve quality of life and get families what they need to reach their potential. Devin Cordova, our executive director, she's on the call. She coined the term rational optimism, which is a term that I really like because we acknowledge how serious and challenging our circumstances are, but we work to create the conditions that will allow everyone to thrive. And I believe, and I think we all believe, that knowing and accepting our reality is critical to being informed and critical to identifying opportunities. So we also sometimes say that AGS means always growing stronger, and we believe that you all have the power as advocates and as a community of families to ensure that we gain strength and knowledge from every scientific research or clinical advancement. And lastly, we recognize the diversity of both our AGS, the diversity of the disease, and of our families, and we are committed to meeting people wherever they are in their journey. So we like to think that we are organizing and motivating a community through social media, our patient registry, our private support group. So if you're a family affected by AGS, we, the AGSAA, want to be a beacon for you. And that's both to provide you with as much as we can, but also so that we can connect you with a community that is mobilized and actively working to improve circumstances for their kids. And from a recent examination of data from genetic testing laboratories, I've talked about this study a couple of times today, we know that our community is much larger than most people realize. And I believe Laura Adang said that it may be the most common leukodystrophy. I won't hold you to that, but it communicates the reality that we are a very large community and we are much more common than is published and that people realize. We also know that we're a diverse group. Not only do we have 9 known associated genes, but we also have a spectrum of experiences and symptoms and severity. And we've learned, I believe, that early diagnosis and treatment can rescue potential. And we organize through our patient registry and our support group that has over 1,100 members. So I added this slide fairly recently. It was just something that kind of came to my mind because I said that I work closely with Devin. And while that's certainly true, there are a lot of people that have been a part of our efforts. And so I took a look at some of the numbers from the last 6 months to get a sense of how much networking we've been doing and how much time that we've been spending. And I've personally sent around 300 emails. I've spent over 50 hours in meetings, and I've been face-to-face with 5 different drug companies and scientists from 10 different labs that work on things closely related to AGS. And I think that this is the work that you don't see that goes into what you do see. We're putting our time and our energy into networking so that we can forge connections and relationships that might lead to solutions for your children and ours. And I promise I'll be done soon about the AGSAA, but I want you to know that we have a website. And we have resources for families on our website. It's agsaa.org. We've got a guide to help you get quickly oriented to the diagnosis. We've got clinical care recommendations. We have a deep dive into our only disease-modifying treatment. And we even have a template letter that can help you families appeal health insurance denials for our medicine. So I encourage you to take a look if it's been a while. And we've also been maintaining pretty regular posts on social media. So if you don't follow us, please do. Our handle is AGS Advocacy, so at AGS Advocacy on most channels. But you can find links to our social media channels at the bottom of our website. And in addition to sharing family stories and pictures and birthdays, we actually regularly try to educate by explaining scientific and clinical topics on social media, for example, reverse transcriptase inhibitors and things like that. And we'll occasionally make requests and announcements about things like new clinical trials, patient registry surveys, media campaigns, things like that. And most recently, our marketing director and AGS mom, Betty Trevino, has launched a podcast that will do deep dives into family stories, introduce AGS doctors and scientists, give a voice to those living with AGS, and more. And all of that can be found through our website. Now, I want you to know that we have an AGS Patient Registry that is managed by our organization. And you can find a link to join or enroll, log in on our website. Now, a patient registry is sort of a system designed to collect structured information about a disease directly from individuals affected by that disease. And often, patient registries are used to produce what's called a natural history of a disease, or they can be a part of that, which is a comprehensive understanding of the disease's symptoms and trajectory. And we're going to hear more about that from Dr. Gavazzi really soon. But because AGS has a well-developed natural history study at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, we've used our registry to more quickly explore topics and collect experiences about matters that are important to families but potentially understudied. So, for example, early in the pandemic, we asked for and then shared experiences with COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccination, and we produced a report on disease triggers and flares in AGS. And so I have some demographics on the left, and then the 2 on the right are images that we shared on social media. It might be a little difficult to see, but we essentially produced a heat map of potential triggers that were reported by parents and the severity of a flare of the disease that they experienced with those triggers. And we also did a comparison of frequency and severity of flares for children on JAK inhibitors and not on JAK inhibitors. Now, with respect to the patient registry, I can share from personal experience that the pharmaceutical industry, and I think these are the businesses that are going to make decisions about whether or not to invest in developing new medicines for our kids, They have a strong interest in working with diseases that have well-organized registries like our own. And I think this signals to them that despite being a rare disease, AGS has a community of families willing to participate in research and hopefully clinical trials. So I encourage you to join. Our registry should continue to become more important and relevant as work in our disease continues. And I want you to know, for those that have concerns, that our patient registry is anonymous or de-identified. So we don't know who participates, and you can withdraw your information and participation at any time. Another thing I want to show you here is that our partner Biogen, they're a drug company that we've worked with in the past and continue to work with. They sponsored the establishment of our registry, but also sponsored a program that was offered by the Public Benefit Corporation that hosts our registry software. And this program identified topics that are interesting and important to AGS registry participants. So basically, everyone was given a big list of topics. Those that participated were asked to quickly choose just a few topics. And those topics that were selected by many participants happened to be statistically significant. And the board that provides oversight for our registry, they allow us to run surveys and studies related to any of these topics without any additional overhead. And I think that this gives us a lot of power to describe our disease, our needs, and the burden of it from our own perspectives, but we're able to do so in a manner that will be accepted and acknowledged by health regulatory agencies like the FDA or the EMA in Europe. And I think that this has been a guide for us, telling us what families want to know about or what they want help with. And just going through a couple of these, the top topic and concern was muscle tone management. Number 2 is something that we ran patient registry survey and study on, flare-ups, what's causing flare-ups, immune flare-ups in the disease. But as we go around, there's a number of things that we haven't even gotten close to touching or talking about. So we intend to go through this list as quickly as we can. Another thing that's coming soon, or I guess this is the first thing that I'm sharing that is coming soon, is Project ECHO. So the AGS ECHO program, it's my baby at the moment. And in short, we're going to organize Zoom meetings that any doctor or healthcare provider can join to learn about AGS and discuss their patients and cases. So you all won't be able to join. It's not for families. Rather, it's for families, doctors, therapists, nurses, and healthcare providers that care for those with AGS. We want to bring your teams up to speed, providing a forum where your doctors and AGS experts work together to reach consensus about how to treat their patients. And I think through it, we'll democratize knowledge about AGS and help bring expertise and advice to everyone, regardless of where they live. And so I'm hoping to launch this program by the end of this year, but truthfully, that's difficult, so don't hold me to it. But we'll be sure to heavily publicize this so you can invite your care team to participate when it's ready. And also coming soon, we have a few webinars in the works, and these might be live or they might be pre-recorded, but we'll try to use them to introduce and inform. And you may or may have not seen a recent announcement that we made about working with the drug startup Transposon. They have an active clinical trial for AGS in the participation sites are only in Europe, and they're using a new reverse transcriptase inhibitor, or they're developing one. And we plan to produce a webinar introducing Transposon, the trial, and what participation looks like. And we think that'll help everyone understand what they're getting involved in. And we also have a longstanding relationship with the drug company Biogen, and we have plans to present a webinar very soon with them. And I think we'll be looking to highlight key opportunities and share important information about AGS in these webinars.